Alright everyone, it's time for a little bit of synchronicity, which is that on the day that Charles Manson dies, one of the main people interacting with Manson, who really, popularized him back in the 90s with the Charlie Rose Show interview, I think he won a major award for that, like an Emmy or something. He has now been claimed to be a sexual pervert by 8 of his former employees. Now 3 of them went on record. They're like, yeah, I'll give you my name, I'll tell you explicitly what happened because, it can be corroborated, it's true. 5 of them wanted to remain anonymous, apparently, but what it involved, he's in the second circle of sex abuse allegation hell. It's not alleged that he raped anybody, but it is alleged that he groped them up against their will, harassed them, sent them obscene calls, lewd photos. So basically he was being very, very creepy and also went beyond just, intimidating creepy into the realm of actually trying to do a little touchy-feely. So the second circle of sex abuse allegation hell is generally not survivable in a professional capacity. It doesn't necessarily lead to criminal charges. It can be badly dated. But this comes from the period where he was on the Charlie Rose Show. We're talking from the 90s through the early, I believe, mid-2000s. And it was extremely popular at the time. We're talking a heavy-hitting interviewer, considered one of the greats of interview, undeservedly. And funnily enough, this happens within 24 hours of Manson dying, which is hysterical because, again, look up the Charlie Rose Manson interview. Some of the footage from that is the primary reason why this generation considers Manson to be crazy, but I digress. This is about Charlie Rose being perverted. How very, very funny that on that same fateful day, within that same fateful 24-hour period, somebody dies that he wouldn't give the benefit of assuming could possibly be innocent. And now the court of public opinion is going to do the same thing to Charlie Rose. He's going to get to know how it feels to have allegations that technically can't be proven against him unless someone coughs up one of these lewd photos he apparently sent or a recording of one of these lewd phone calls. Now that would be something. It would definitely be something to get to hear Charlie Rose panting, breathing heavily on the other end of the phone while he describes his bizarre fantasies like Bill O'Reilly apparently did. Apparently his thing was that he liked to send phone calls to people, like people he wanted to be involved in, and he would just start rambling about these weird fantasies and sort of go off into a daze, I guess. That was the allegation. It sounds like Charlie Rose liked to do this too. Maybe they hung out. Maybe they went to parties together. But Charlie Rose, you got to realize, mouthpiece, propagandist for the establishment, certainly. Also a neoliberal. A lot of times we got to start differentiating at this point between the general character of the actual left, like the progressives, like an H.A. Goodman, who, they might have some screwy fiscal views or something, but, they mean well, they're not like shit fucks. And neoliberals that are like the corporate controlled, it seems like half the time they're perverts. Like Weinstein's a neoliberal, Bubba Bill certainly king neoliberal. Now his wife wanted to be queen neoliberal but lost, which is great. So instead we got Obama had to be. I guess he has to be the big number too, kind of. Kevin Spacey. You've got sort of the donor base, the Spaceys and Weinsteins. Then you've got sort of the genuine, just general celeb base, like the Takays. Then you've got the actual politicians, like the Frankens and, the Conyers. By the way, follow up to the last video I just uploaded. This is something that people need to understand. In the case of Conyers or Franken, we have actual evidence in a way that, sexual harassment or something beyond that happened. With Franken, we have a photo. We have a photo of him supposedly groping a sleeping woman. He claims that it's something else. She's sticking to her story. It is he said, she said, but we've got a photograph. It does appear to indicate what she's talking about. I mean, come on. At that point, 90% of people are going to assume that Franken was groping her in her sleep. And it does look that way. It doesn't look like a skit to me, just to be clear. In the case of Conyers, we have a settlement. Which goes beyond just simply allegations. There was actual money changed hands. That's going to indicate in the court of public opinion that he was guilty. That's just the way that it's going to work. Legally speaking, no. In terms of public discourse, absolutely. He's probably out of a job because he settled the case. Who cares, by the way? In the case of people like Charlie Rose, it's just allegations. But considering the claims involved, we could actually have physical evidence that he did indeed engage in this behavior. We could have some of these photos or phone calls surfacing. I'm sure that if they exist, they have been placed with a lawyer, and they are not going to be made public unless it's part of a case, and the judge says, okay, the public can see this, certainly the jury can see this, or at least the jury would be able to confirm, yeah, indeed, this is, a picture of Charlie Rose's small wang. But I did find it funny. I had to report on this separately. It has added importance because of the day on which the allegations actually come forth. What possible fucking better time than within 24 hours of, someone who, he glommed off of Charles Manson. That particular interview helped boost him into superstardom, away from being, he's popular and he's kind of well-known, to being like, everybody wants to talk to him, everyone wants him to fucking have them on his show, everything else under the sun. It was Manson-related. It's kind of like when Bugliosi, when he was called a conspiracy theorist for his 9/11 book, which is really funny. For calling for Bush's impeachment. Of course, he was a neoliberal too, keep that in mind. A lot of people associated with that case, ultimately, they formed the basis of what would become later the Clintonian neoliberals. Also very funny. Geraldo's basically a liberal too. Although he's more amusing. He hangs around with the people at Fox. I'm not exactly sure why, because it's like he doesn't agree with most of these people. I guess he hangs around with Shepard Smith more than anybody. And he likes his women too. That's not even just an allegation. Like, he can burn through them like he'd burn through a pack of Marlboros back in the 1980s when he was still, I think, a chain smoker at the time. But at least in that case, there's no indication that it's not consensual. Also, he's funny. He looks a little bit like a Puerto Rican Teddy Roosevelt, actually. If you compare their pictures, I swear it's fucking freaky. Even their teeth look exactly the same. That's weird. So Charlie Rose has gone down. His career is officially gone. Like, it took less than 24 hours for people to talk about how, it seems like it's probably believable. Some of these people are going on record. And we might get to, we might get to hear a phone call where he's panting and describing his cucumber fantasies, or a picture of him windmilling and pissing in every direction. Who knows what he's into? If he's doing this repeatedly with supposedly 8 different people, he might be into some strange things. That's about all. Peace out.